Now comes a surprise. I still advocate communism. But what kind of communism? A German journalist asked me what kind of communist you are, and I gave an answer, a moderately conservative communist. By moderately conservative, I mean something very precise. You know, what bothers me with some leftist liberals, they make big plans, let's do this, new legislation and so on, but not with Rishi Sunak kind, but with authentic, their endangered species today, old conservatives. What even Lenin and Mao admired in them is this brutal realism, in the sense of, yes, we can do this, but you think like crazy about what will be the consequences. If we screw that other thing and so on and so on, because isn't the standard even radical leftist game? Then you, of course, cause a catastrophe and then you blame the enemy. It's like what I call, sadly, in Africa, the Mugabe game. You screw it up, and then you blame, because secretly the whites still control everything. And what is really breaking my heart is that now South Africa is approaching the same. So by moderately conservative, I mean simply, before you act, think well about all possible consequences. Because social life, here I am very pessimist, not traditional Marxist, is obscure, non-transparent, complex. You never know what the actual result would be. So now you can counterattack me, but why then communist at all? To give you a very short answer, it's not a communism of joy, abundance. It's a sad pessimist communism. Look, we are facing now 3, 4, 5, I cannot even nominate them all, real apocalyptic threats. War, immigration, ecological threat, artificial intelligence. And I don't see any other way to cope with this than what I provocatively call war communism. An emergency state where I'm not talking about world government and state taking over. That would be a catastrophe, even worse. But some kind of global international cooperation, not just this aesthetic cooperation. Yes, we must understand each other, but more forceful cooperation will be necessary. Now, when people tell me, oh, but this is total utopia, I tell them, sorry, remember COVID. Even Trump had to do measures which come very close to what I call communism. You remember every family got a check for $2,000 and so on.
Stimulus checks.
Yeah. And you remember how half a year before, if you were to mention an idea like this, all the neoliberals would say, no, this would mean ruin of our economy. No, it didn't. The good point about COVID epidemics was that it was made clear how much we can play with the market, do things independently of the market, and they don't necessarily ruin the economy. So again, communist, it means I sincerely don't see how to cope with the problems, threats that are on the horizon, without a much stronger collective collaboration well beyond the limits of the sovereign nation state. Just to conclude, please allow me this. My example that I mention all the time. You remember 2.5 years ago, that crazy hot summer where northwest of United States, southwest of Canada, Seattle, Vancouver, 50 degrees Celsius. It was warmer than Mumbai or Emirates. You cannot say they should take care more of ecology. No, these are rich parts of the world. They did the proper measures. The problem is that the whole circulation of air around the North Pole is disturbed. So in this sense, I'm a communist in the sense of we have to prepare to some emergency state. Precisely because if we don't do it in a transparent, democratic way, then better not to think what can happen. But again, moderately conservative. Be careful about the consequences. I hate, again, this traditional leftist game of, imperialism still controls us and so on.
Mm-hmm. So the reason we're talking is because of this book, What Lies Ahead When There Is No Future.
I am very skeptical about this idea that originally religions are good, Islam, Judaism, Christianity. It's only in their political application that they are misused. No, you find a lot of horror and cheat already in the original. So I'm here much more of a pessimist. The lesson of this, I will immediately conclude, sorry. The lesson of this is we are left to our own resources. In Lacanian terms, theoretical, there is no big other. By big other, I don't mean just God, but some global symbolic order which tells you what to do. No, we live in a very dangerous era where no reference to tradition or to science or whatever can tell us what to do. In India, some people, many don't know about me, hate me because I killed, or at least undermined the respect for another sacred cow there, Gandhi. You know, when Gandhi was in India, yes, he fought against apartheid, but only for the Indian minority. Read Gandhi's text, my friends, republish them now. He doesn't put in doubt the big separation black-white. He just says we Indians should be counted as white and so on. The second thing, you see, this is what I mean moderately conservative. Maybe you read it, I think I already used this somewhere, a couple of months ago at Birkbeck College, where I'm temporarily employed. There was a debate with a lady from South Africa, a hardline old ANC fighter, and I asked her a frank question. I asked her, in all our media, I read all the time about how South Africa is on the border of becoming on the edge of becoming a failed state, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to believe Western media. Please tell me, how do I reply to this? And I was almost crying, so sad. You know what she told me? She told me that more and more the predominant atmosphere, feeling in the poor black majority, poor, is nostalgia for apartheid. She said that now in memory, they remember apartheid as a time where, yes, they were second-class citizens, but if anything, the standard of living was the same, maybe a little bit even higher, for the poor black majority, plus it was a police state, which means there was safety. Now, society is disintegrating. South Africa has one of the highest rape numbers per capita. You see, this is what I want the left to avoid. How these eternal stories, look at Latin America, Bolivia, but now they did not do a wise thing. They cut diplomatic ties with Israel, but till now I believed in Bolivia because I was friendly with Vice President of Morales, Alvaro Garcia Linera, and so on. They were 12 years in power without scaring too much the capital. They succeeded. The standard of living went up. And then you remember there was a coup d'etat against them, but they won again. So that's my moderate conservatism. How to avoid, I will name just 3 names, Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, where it was a catastrophe. The left has to ask very hard questions here. I don't want to be that comfortable leftist who organizes a revolution fails, and then you move back to your academic post and write a thick book how, because of the imperialist cunningness and plot, it had to fail the revolution. No, the left deserves some authentic success.